Here's a wild story from ancient China that'll light up your imagination. Literally. So picture this. It's the 10th century and the Song dynasty is getting hammered by the Liao forces. The Song generals are scratching their heads, thinking, we need something epic to turn this around. Enter Yu Yifang, a brilliant engineer with a fiery idea. Quite literally. Yu comes up with the fire lance, basically a spear that breathes fire. Imagine a bamboo tube strapped to a spear filled with gunpowder. Light the fuse, and boom! You've got a medieval flamethrower that also shoots shrapnel. When the Liao soldiers charged, expecting a regular brawl, they were greeted with surprise. Here's some fire in your face! They didn't stand a chance. The ancient fireworks show didn't just win battles, it set the stage for future weapons. Want more explosive stories? Stick around for military secrets of the ancient world explored. Urumi. Imagine a sword that's not just deadly but also behaves like a whip. Meet the Urumi, a weapon from ancient India that combines the grace of a ribbon dancer with the lethality of a razor blade. Originating in the southern region of India, particularly Kerala, the Urumi dates back to the Mauryan Empire, around 300 BCE, and was designed for the most skilled warriors. This flexible sword made of thin, flexible metal strips could be worn around the waist like a belt, but when unleashed, it transformed into a slashing, whipping nightmare that could hit multiple opponents at once. Its primary purpose? Crowd control. Because why deal with enemies one at a time when you can slice through a whole group with a single swing? Using the Urumi required extraordinary dexterity and control, as a wrong move could just as easily take off your own head as your enemies. But in the right hands, this weapon was a whirling storm of death, capable of inflicting deep cuts, slashes, and quite frankly, pure terror on the battlefield. Dangerous? Absolutely. Weirdly beautiful? You bet. Chakram. Let's dive into the Chakram, a weapon that's as deadly as it is deceptive. At first glance, it might look like some ancient warrior's fancy bracelet, but make no mistake, this razor-sharp disc was built for battle. Originating in India around the 4th century BCE, the Chakram was a circular throwing weapon with a lethal edge. It wasn't just a flashy accessory. These were used in actual warfare by the legendary Sikh warriors during the Mughal-Sikh Wars. Flung with precision, Chakrams could slice through enemies at a distance, adding a terrifying element to the battlefield. The brilliance of the Chakram lay in its versatility. It could be hurled to take down foes from afar, or wielded up close for brutal slashes in hand-to-hand combat. Elite warriors trained relentlessly to perfect their skills with this unique weapon. So imagine the chaos of war, and suddenly seeing one of these spinning discs whirling toward you. Not exactly a battlefield souvenir you'd want to bring home. Let's talk about the hwacha, an ancient Korean weapon that was essentially the closest thing to a rocket launcher in the 15th century. Picture a deadly wooden contraption about the size of a large cart, but instead of carrying supplies, it's packed with up to 200 rocket-powered arrows. It wasn't just designed to look intimidating, it delivered a terrifying barrage that made enemies wish they'd stayed home. Famously used during the Imjin War to defend Korea against Japanese invaders, the hwacha worked by placing arrows in a grid system, igniting them simultaneously, and firing them in one explosive volley. These arrows could travel up to 500 meters, that's about 1,640 feet, giving Korean forces the ability to strike from a long distance. With that kind of range, it wasn't just a close combat weapon, it was a battlefield rainmaker. Imagine trying to dodge hundreds of arrows whizzing toward you, some even fitted with small explosives. It wasn't just about quantity, but unpredictability. The arrows flying in every direction. Its size made it mobile even for battle, yet fearsome when deployed, turning the tide of war with its long reach and devastating firepower. The Claw of Archimedes. Next on our list is the Claw of Archimedes, and this one's straight out of a mad scientist's workshop, because it kind of was. Created by the brilliant Greek mathematician and engineer Archimedes in the 3rd century BCE, this defensive weapon was used to protect the city of Syracuse from Roman invasion. During the Second Punic War, the Romans, confident in their strength, expected a swift victory, but they hadn't counted on one of history's greatest minds standing in their way, Archimedes, the legendary mathematician and inventor. As the Roman ships approached the harbor, Archimedes revealed a series of ingenious defenses that left the invaders bewildered. The claw operated using a series of ropes, pulleys, and levers. When an enemy ship approached, the claw would hook onto it, lift it partially out of the water, and then drop it or shake it violently, causing the ship to tip over or sink. Think of it as an ancient weapon of a giant fishing rod, but instead of catching fish, it was sinking Roman ships with impressive precision. Archimedes' ingenious invention wasn't just a weapon, it was psychological warfare. The Romans reportedly dreaded approaching Syracuse's harbor because no one knew exactly when or where this massive claw would strike next. It's safe to say the claw of Archimedes made its mark as one of the most creative and effective defensive weapons in ancient history. The Helepolis. Next on our list is the Helepolis, also known as the City Taker. This colossal siege weapon was essentially a medieval skyscraper on wheels, designed by the ancient Greek engineer Demetrius of Phalerum in the 4th century BCE. If you've ever seen a tower in a video game or movie, this was its real-life counterpart, but way bigger and way more intimidating. The Helepolis was a massive multi-story structure, reaching heights of up to 40 meters, that's about 130 feet. It was equipped with a variety of weapons, including catapults, ballista, and other siege engines. It even had an armored exterior to protect its occupants from enemy projectiles. Picture a rolling fortress that could bring the full force of ancient artillery right up to the enemy's walls. The goal was simple: to breach city defenses and bring an entire army to the gates of the fortress. Its sheer size and the complexity of its design made it a terrifying sight on the battlefield. Despite its impressive firepower and scale, the Helepolis had its limitations. It was cumbersome and vulnerable to counter-siege tactics, but when it worked, it could bring down walls and crush resistance with overwhelming force. The Trebuchet. Let's dive into the world of the Trebuchet, a siege engine that revolutionized medieval warfare with its colossal firepower. Picture a massive wooden seesaw, but instead of kids playing, it's hurling enormous stones and incendiary materials at castle walls. The trebuchet, which embarked around the 12th century, was engineered to launch projectiles over long distances with remarkable precision and force. During its heyday, the trebuchet was the ultimate heavy artillery of its time. It was used extensively in the siege of Acre in 1189 to 1191 during the Third Crusade, where it played a crucial role in breaking down the city's formidable defenses. Another notable use was during the siege of Constantinople in 1453, where trebuchets were employed by the Ottoman forces to bombard the walls of the Byzantine capital. In both cases, trebuchets were instrumental in turning the tide of these pivotal battles. The trebuchet operates on a counterweight system where a heavyweight swings a long arm to fling projectiles from a sling. This allowed it to launch stones weighing up to 100 kilograms, that's about 220 pounds, with devastating impact. Imagine being on the receiving end, stones smashing through your defenses, and fire spreading across the battlements. The trebuchet's ability to breach even the most robust fortifications made it a game-changer in siege warfare. The Hellburners. Let's talk about the Hellburners, the ancient equivalent of a nuclear bomb. These colossal weapons were designed to unleash unprecedented destruction, and they made a big splash during the siege of Antwerp in 1585. Imagine a massive ship packed with gunpowder, topped with stones and metal scraps to enhance its explosive power. Engineered by Italian war engineer Federico Ghiambelli, the Hellburner was to deliver a devastating explosion right into the heart of enemy defenses. The first model, named Fortune, used a slow fuse that failed to create significant damage, as it was sunk before it could effectively impact the Spanish forces. But the second model, Hellburner, was a different beast. Equipped with a time bomb, this ship successfully reached its target, a Spanish pontoon bridge. When it detonated, it unleashed a colossal explosion that obliterated part of the bridge and killed not much, but approximately 1,000 Spanish soldiers. The blast was so immense it shattered windows miles away and created sheer panic among the enemy troops. The Hellburner's explosion was the largest ever seen in that era, making it the nuclear weapon of its time. And that's a wrap. If you enjoyed this dive into ancient secrets, subscribe to Invictus for more epic tales and hidden history. See you next time!